Hey divas, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Jojo Siwa. I'm sure everybody knows who Jojo Siwa is, and if you don't, you've clearly been living under a rock of sorts because Jojo Siwa has been known for many things on the internet. Of course, if you were around in the 2015-16 time frame, there was probably hardly a store you could go into that didn't have some sort of JoJo branded product. I feel like anything they could slap her face on, they did, and kids loved it. Of course, she was also well known for being on Dance Moms, and of course then creating her own music, and even if her music was a bit annoying to adult ears, there was no denying the positive impact that Jojo Siwa had on millions of children and the inspiration that she was. But in recent years, Jojo has decided to leave her Nickelodeon era and completely rebrand her entire image, an act itself that was met with a lot of mockery online, as the internet kind of trolled Jojo Siwa, especially because of her comments made following her rebranding, where she essentially just deemed herself the creator of gay pop. Jojo Siwa is not also completely unknown to a few little controversies, including relationship dramas and the way that she's treated the women she's dated. And one of the biggest ones is the treatment of the girls in her once created girl group XOMG Pop, and of course recently basically ending her relationship with Kath Ebbs when she fell for her housemate Chris Hughes when she guest starred on season 24 of Celebrity Big Brother. There are several things Jojo Siwa is known for, okay? But all of those have already been pretty highly discussed on the internet. Her newest one, however, is kicking some of her fans out of her concert in Glasgow over a hoodie. Now, before I start talking about this subject, I do want to be very clear and say that this is not like me saying, oh, we should cancel JoJo for this. If we should cancel her for anything, it certainly is not this. And I'm not solely on the other person's side either. I think this is an interesting situation, but this isn't me just being like, oh, we should cancel JoJo. She's a terrible person for this behavior. It's just an interesting situation regarding a pretty well-known celebrity, and so I wanted to talk about it. So basically, JoJo was having a concert in Glasgow, part of her Infinity Hearts tour, and she was sort of asking fans to showcase what they were wearing, and one fan in particular ended up holding up a sweatshirt that had a picture of Jojo Siwa taped on it. JoJo asked for it to be passed forward and wasn't best pleased with what she saw, because what was taped onto the sweatshirt was a picture of this egg meme that had been circulating the internet for a while. You know, sort of mocking Jojo Siwa, her forehead, and her hairline.
Want to see what happens when you do something like this? Your hoodie? Can you get him out of here? I'm serious. Now. Take him out. Come on. No, you're not going to come to my concert and bring a hoodie making fun of me. No way. No way, man. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. But we only got room for Infinity Hearts in here, right? No, not in my house, baby.
At first, it was clear that the people attending the concert were kind of confused and thought JoJo was at least somewhat joking when she asked for the fans to be removed from the concert, but then Jojo Siwa continued and was sort of just like, no, I'm serious, get them out of here, we don't have room for haters in this house. And of course, following the incident, reactions were a bit mixed, with a lot of people backing up JoJo, saying, well, obviously she's allowed to feel how she wants, it's her show, she doesn't need people mocking her at her show, and good for her for setting boundaries. And then there was another group of people who were defending the concert attendees who got kicked out, saying that JoJo vastly overreacted, especially for someone who has a song about coming back like a boomerang. Now, the person involved in this who was kicked out did end up making a video and posting an apology directed towards JoJo and explained the incident a bit further.
Hi. So me and my friend, we didn't have any merch, so we were like, oh, what are we gonna wear? And we were like, oh, let's just print out a picture and stick it on our clothes, and it'll be funny. And JoJo has a good sense of humor, so she'll laugh as well. So we just googled funny Jojo Siwa picture and then screenshotted the first thing that came up. We didn't look what it was from or anything like that. And then we got in and we were there for like 45 minutes, and Jojo was like, "What's everyone wearing?" And we were like, "Oh, this is our opportunity to make her laugh." So we like held up what it was, and she was like, "Can you hand it over?" So we did, and we were like, "Oh my goodness, she's gonna like laugh and find it really funny." She didn't find it funny. She kicked us out, and then people started posting videos about it and saying we threw it at her when we didn't throw it. We handed it over through security.
And how did you feel when you were kicked out? 'Cause this is when you called me.
Well, I called Mum about to have a panic attack because I've never been kicked out of a concert before, and I always gone to concerts, and all the other shows that I've been to, they find stuff like that really funny. Like, it's a common thing for people to like bring a funny picture.
Okay.
But yeah, so I went out to the concert and the staff weren't even like looking at us, and we were trying to talk to them and they were just ignoring us, and like, yeah, it wasn't very fun.
In the caption, the creator named Anjali also went on to explain that she has autism, so if she seems insincere, she really is being sincere, and she just genuinely thought this would be something funny that Jojo would find funny. I will say I do feel bad for her, and I do understand the struggle of things just being misinterpreted, because hurting people when you genuinely didn't mean to is truly one of the worst feelings in the world. And I can see why she thought Jojo would find it funny, just looking at Jojo's past. I guess one thing that people were really pointing out is the fact that Jojo herself had posted the meme. I did find this picture of her supposedly posting it on the internet, but it's the internet, so obviously I don't know if she really posted it just straight up on Instagram like that. A lot of people have said that Jojo posted the meme herself at one point, so that's probably a good reason why Anjali thought that Jojo might find it funny. Also, looking at the pieces, Jojo is Gen Z. She definitely does sort of have this demeanor about her that's like, I don't care about what they say, because she's gonna come back like a boomerang. Even in recent media, she's posted a song that she's teasing or whatever, where she's essentially making fun of all of the things that people have made fun of her for.
No one's made this dramatic of a change. I sound insane.
So she kind of has this persona, like, not taking herself too seriously, or I feel like that's what she's sort of been known for some of the time at least. And so I definitely do understand how Anjali would think that this would be something that Jojo would find funny, and I also do understand the impulse of doing things without giving it full thought. Like, obviously the thought just crossed her mind, like, oh, Jojo's gonna find this funny, it's gonna be hilarious. Assumably she made it right before the concert, so she didn't have time to process, like, maybe this could be seen as something offensive. No, it was just sort of, we're gonna make this, she's gonna find it funny, we're gonna go for it. This is coming from somebody who has done stupid things myself, simply because I thought it would be funny. When I was a sophomore or a junior in high school, in one of my math classes, we had a project where we had to make something out of cans and then do a lot of math stuff related to it after. And for whatever reason, me and my friends thought it would be hilarious for our structure to make our teacher out of cans. And the thought never once crossed our mind, like, she might find this weird that she is what we're choosing to make. We just thought it would be funny and get a good laugh. Like, sometimes people genuinely just do impulsive things out of humor, and it's not always badly intended, and I get that. So naturally, after Anjali posted the video, people started turning on Jojo a little bit more, being like, what are you doing, like, calling out an autistic fan? And like, they were telling Anjali they were sorry that this happened to her, and they couldn't believe Jojo couldn't simply take a joke. Also, following the incident, as people on the internet do, people started commenting on Jojo Siwa's posts about the incident. One video was like just an after concert silly video Jojo posted, and people instantly took to saying things like, oh, is this the concert where you kicked a fan out? Or she posted another video with her song Boomerang, and it was one of those, you think you can hurt me, I this, and hers ended up being, you think you can hurt me, well, I wrote this song. And naturally all of the comments were taking jabs at her, saying, but a hoodie can hurt you, as well as people spam dumping the egg meme in her comment section. With that there, though, of course there are people on the other side of things defending Jojo and obviously expressing that she's allowed to set boundaries. And here's the thing. Do I think kicking out the fan was a little bit extra? Yes, I do. Obviously, especially knowing what we know now, which is that the fan didn't mean any harm. Yes, it was a little extra to kick the fan out, but do I necessarily think JoJo was 100% wrong? No. And let me be very clear about this. I'm not like a huge JoJo defender. I'm not even really that much of a fan. I'm not a specific JoJo hater either. Like, she kind of just coexists in the world, and I know that, but I'm not like big on her one way or another. I think she's done things in the past that are, terrible. But like, JoJo just kind of exists in the world to me. Like, I don't care either way. But I have to be honest and say, like, I can't completely blame JoJo for the way that she reacted. Obviously, now we know that no harm was intended, but how are you supposed to know that when you're on stage? To JoJo, the person passing up the hoodie could have been seen as an act of, defiance, like, oh, look at this hoodie we made of you. And it could have been taken in an entirely different way. And obviously, in the moment, there's no time for like explanations. Like, obviously, when JoJo sees this thing that upsets her, she doesn't have time to stop and say, what was your intent behind making this hoodie? She's just going to automatically assume foul intentions. And she's also not going to automatically assume that her fans might have some sort of disability or something. Like, she's not automatically going like, oh, that's an autistic, better get them out of here. You know what I mean? Like, she's not automatically going to assume things one way or another. She sees something that's hurting her and she's going to remove it. And the fact that she went on to say, you're not going to come to my show and mock me, shows that JoJo genuinely believed that she was being mocked in this situation. Which I do think is a valid thought, considering the fact that a lot of singers deal with horrible things at their shows. People will throw things at them, people will run up on the stage, people will start meowing over the beautiful lyrics to your song. So part of me finds it easy to say, well, this hoodie is just the least of it, but another part of me is like, you don't know where the hoodie's going to lead. Like, if you allow this hoodie, what else are you allowing? I will say, though, I do find it ironic. I can admit it is a little bit ironic, especially considering the image JoJo's put up of herself of not taking herself too seriously. And I do think it is a little intense to, find it funny yourself once and then decide it's not funny. And I do think it's a little ironic that sometimes she can be like self-parodizing and she can kind of laugh at herself, but then other times she's like, don't talk badly about me or else, essentially. I don't know. I definitely think that JoJo has this certain level of like entitlement and cockiness to her. And I also think that she does kind of desperately want to play in this cool, edgy celebrity thing, which is kind of something she started doing when she had her rebrand, which isn't necessarily a bad thing per se. Like, you can put up the front that you want to, but I do think some of her reaction to the incident was her trying to put up this cool front, and it's like, okay. But I also do think that a lot of people don't understand that jokes are different when you're in on them and when you're not in on them. So it might have been funny when JoJo was taking part in it, but when she thinks that, they're just showing up to mock her, it's not so funny anymore. And I do think that some people's reactions to this directed towards JoJo are a little bit extra as well, because like, people are just looking at it from one side. They're seeing what Anjali said and what she felt, and they're not really considering the fact that JoJo is still a person. She does still have feelings. She's still allowed to be upset by things, and if she truly thought that this person had come into her concert to mock her, like, it's her right to deal with that how she sees fit. However, I do think it was a little extra, considering the fact the picture was just taped on. I feel like she could have removed the picture and handed it back, but it is what it is. I don't think JoJo is necessarily completely wrong, at least. Maybe a bit overdramatic, but not completely wrong. However, I don't necessarily think that Anjali was wrong either. This isn't me bashing Anjali. Obviously, the hoodie ended up being in bad taste, but it was still something she thought was funny. Because I can't imagine being kicked out of a show of someone you were trying to show your support to. Although one thing I will say is I completely applaud the honesty and sincerity in her apology. She very easily could have spun the narrative and been like, JoJo ruined my whole night, JoJo maliciously kicked me out of her show, JoJo was terrible to me. But she didn't do any of that. She simply explained her intentions behind the hoodie and offered up an apology and expressed to JoJo that she meant no harm. She didn't even milk it out for views. As far as I can tell, that was the only video she really posted about the situation, and she hasn't really talked about it since. So she just issued her apology and moved on, which is honestly a very mature way to do it. A lot more mature than the people just spamming egg pictures on Jojo Siwa's comments. I also feel like, to a certain extent at least, if you're going to a Jojo Siwa concert, you should be familiar with who Jojo is. Obviously, I know that that doesn't mean you're expecting to be kicked out, especially when you weren't doing something with bad intentions. I'm sure you're familiar with some of the things she's said and done, both positive and negative, so you sort of know the image she's trying to put up of herself. So I guess, like, I don't know. It's truly a very complicated situation, and it sucks to be someone who can genuinely see both sides of things. Um, because I can. On one side, it wasn't this heartless, vicious act of cruelty. It was just a funny little joke that didn't land the way it was supposed to. But I also can't just sit here and blindly say, oh, Jojo Siwa sucks, she can't take a joke. Because I don't think celebrities should always just be expected to take whatever their fans dish out and not do anything. And it's not fair of me to say this celebrity deserves boundaries and this one doesn't. I will say, obviously, Anjali wasn't putting up a fight. She wasn't screaming profanities at JoJo. She wasn't, really disrupting the concert. It literally was just a joke that didn't land, and now people are trolling JoJo for it. However, I think it was really funny. I found the same video being posted on Facebook Reels instead of TikTok, and it was a whole different response. Like, a lot of people were blaming Anjali for this, saying, well, you admitted that you only wanted to see JoJo ironically. Like, that shows you're the mean person in this situation. And I don't think that that's necessarily 100% true. As much as, like, I don't mean this the wrong way, but I'm sure there are several people who are seeing JoJo ironically or because they think it's kind of funny, because JoJo is well known for that type of behavior. She's well known for kind of being campy and silly. So I think, seeing her like that is okay. And fact of the matter is, Anjali still admitted the fact, like, sure, I was trying to be funny, but I did genuinely become a fan, and, like, I genuinely meant for this to be funny. Like, you might have been seeing the concert ironically, but the actions still weren't meant to hurt. So I don't think Anjali is just, like, point blank period, a mean girl with bad intentions. I think it genuinely was just a poorly received joke. But you guys can let me know what you think. Do you think JoJo Siwa's reaction was way too over the top? Or how else do you think the situation should have been handled? I personally just think maybe in the future she could have just removed the picture or something, especially since nothing like horrible, like, Anjali wasn't protesting or like causing a scene or anything. So y'all can let me know what you think, but that is going to be all for this video. I'll see y'all in my next.